Good morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And I'm so excited to have our special guest today, Mr. Robert Reyna. Welcome, Robert.
How are you, Pastor?
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, born and raised in Dallas. I actually lived in public housing in West Dallas until 1971. Moved to San Antonio, went to college there, met my wife. We've been married 44 years.
Wow, 44 years.
Yeah. We were blessed with 2 sons and 2 daughters, and now they're blessing us with 9 grandkids so far.
Wow. So now you're with the Housing Authority.
Yes,
So tell us a little bit about the Housing Authority.
Well, the Beaumont Housing Authority has a long history in Beaumont. It actually, this past September, celebrated its 75th anniversary. We've been around since that long. A lot of people think that the Beaumont Housing Authority is part of the city. Really, it's not.
Okay.
It is an agency created by the state back in 1941. The city council appointed the board of directors. We were like an autonomous board, kind of like the Port Authority.
Gotcha.
So council appoints the board hires the executive director then hires the staff. We get our funding from Washington. We work very closely with the state and the city and HUD in Washington, but we're not a city agency. We're not a state agency, and we're not a federal agency.
Wow.
So it gets confusing sometimes, but bottom line is we're here to serve the folks of Beaumont. Our job is to provide decent, safe, and affordable housing for low and moderate income families, and we do that relatively well, I think.
So since you're not a city agency or a state or federal agency, what exactly is your responsibility?
Well, our responsibility is to receive federal funding from Washington to provide rental assistance to low-income families. Now, the rules of what you can do with that money are very specific, and our job is to make sure we spend the money in compliance with the federal regulations, with the congressional mandates, and that we give the taxpayers what they're paying for. So the Board of Commissioners, the Board of Directors, oversee policies and procedures and make sure every month that we're staying on budget, that we're staying on track. So our job is, again, we have a budget of about $15 million
Wow.
a year. Of that, $12 million is used in rental payments to the private landlords all around Beaumont, around the Golden Triangle. That's for rental assistance to our clients. So that money goes back out into Beaumont, into the economy, and it helps the economy. The remaining money that is kept, the $2 to $3 million, is used for our public housing program. And those are the properties like Magnolia Gardens, that is now Point North, Regent 1 out at the fairgrounds, Concord Homes, all the different public housing sites.
Now you took over in 2003, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, the Beaumont Housing Authority was in trouble back in 2003. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, let me start by saying today the agency is in great fiscal condition.
Wonderful.
Is in full compliance with programs and operations. In fact, we just got our final audit for this year, and there were no findings, there were no program problems, all the money is accounted for. It's called an unqualified audit,
Yeah.
which basically means, we're doing our job. Unfortunately, when I arrived here in 2003, the agency was under investigation by the Department of Justice, the Office of Inspector General, the IRS, Fair Housing. The agency had been very, very badly managed. The money, federal dollars, had been misappropriated. Contracts were being given without bid process. So the board was asked to vacate their position. The executive staff was terminated. HUD came in and took over the agency. I got here, inherited all of this, and it took us 18 months to fix all the problems.
Wow.
We turned it around, and HUD Washington said, fine, now you're operating properly, you can have it back in local control. Since then, we've not had any more problems.
So what are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish in these 13 years?
Where do I begin? When I arrived here, the Beaumont Housing Authority had not built any new housing since early 70s.
Wow.
A lot of its properties, Lucas Gardens, Concord Homes, Magnolia Gardens, were over 50 years old. And they just were not suited for the electrical demands that are being put on them. They're not energy efficient. They were old. They were ugly. So our first challenge was, what can we do to improve the quality of life and the curb appeal of the properties? So we applied for federal grants. We raised over $52 million to demolish Magnolia Gardens.
Wow.
And to rebuild that with Point North. We then built the property at the Fairgrounds, Regent 1. We then turned to Lucas Gardens, which was there on Lucas, right there, Lucas and Hillbig, demolished 56 units there and replaced it with 150 apartments for seniors only. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And then we partnered with a private developer to build 140 units out on Chin Lane. So we're increasing our affordable housing stock. In the 13 years, we've increased apartments by about 1,000 units, and our Section 8 vouchers probably by another 1,000 units. All total, we're helping about 3,000 families in Beaumont, but we have 12,000 families still waiting for service.
Now, hold on a second, Robert. So how many families are you helping? About
over 3,000.
But you got 12,000
on the waiting list.
On the waiting list. Yeah. And how long does a family typically stay on the waiting list?
Yeah, it depends on which programs they're getting into. If it's a Section 8 program, they could be there for 2 or 3 years. If it's the public housing program, it could be probably a year to a year and a half. But the turnover determines how quickly someone moves on the waiting list.
Okay, so how does the person qualify? And then not only qualify, but how does a person get off of Section 8?
Well, to qualify, it's based on your income and family size. There are income limits established by Washington, by the government, that you may not exceed a certain amount of income. That's the first determining factor. If you are a vet and you wish to apply, we have a lot of vets that are homeless, that are unable to afford their rent right now. If they apply with our programs, they move to the top of the list. So that's one way to get them in quicker. To get off the program, usually their rent is based on their income.
Okay.
No family pays more than 30% of their income for rent. So as they increase in income, their rents are adjusted. So when they reach a market level rate, then they're no longer on the program because they can afford to pay it privately. Unfortunately, we have a lot of families that come to our programs and they need more than just 4 walls and a roof. So they need supportive services, social services, training programs, which we offer. And we will help them get into college. We will help put them in school. We'll buy them books. But the decision has to come from them. But the better thing is we have a program called Family Self-Sufficiency.
Right.
That actually, if they enroll in a 5-year plan and they stay on their plan, as their income goes up, their rent will go up. But at the end of that 5 years, any increase from their base rent when they first started, we give them in a check.
Wow.
To use. We actually graduated 2 families last month. One got a check for $8,000.
Wow.
I just signed off on one today. Is getting $4,000. But our greatest success is a young lady that's graduating with $25,000.
Wow, Robert.
That she started from zero and truly worked the plan, worked the program. And, when you see successes like that, that's what we should be about.
Right.
And we have a mantra at the Housing Authority that says our job is to get you in, get you up, and get you out.
Right.
Because I've got 12,000 families that need your unit. And I hope our residents and clients understand it is not because we don't want to serve them, but the need is just so great.
Well, and people need to understand that it's not a lifetime service. That's not the intent of it.
Exactly. And
it's a helping hand.
It was never designed to be permanent housing. Now, we have, of course, our elderly, disabled, and handicapped, and it's there for as long as they need it. But if you've got young, able-bodied folks, then we will do everything we can to help them improve their employability, improve their education, but they also have an obligation to reciprocate and take advantage of these services.
So what are some of the future plans that the Housing Authority has?
We have several. We are still challenged with Concord Homes. We would like to totally demolish that property and rebuild 100 units right back on site. Lucas Garden, Grand
now
Pine.
when you say Concord Homes, I'm trying to get a...
Concord Homes, folks refer to it as CDS.
Got you. Look, when you say CDS, okay, now you talk about... Look, that's where I came from.
So I don't have to tell you how old and ugly it is.
Yes.
It needs to be demolished and rebuilt, much like Point North.
That was back in the 70s, Robert.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my goodness.
But, we would like to also go over to Grand Pine, which is way back in the corner there near the cemetery, and demolish that. But to rebuild that, I would love to be able to find some property downtown, because they're building the new Best Year Center right there.
That's right.
I would love to build 100 to 150 units very close to that center to
Okay.
replace Grand Pine.
Uh-huh.
After that, the sky's the limit. Quite honestly, there's so many things that we can do, but we're waiting to see what comes out of Washington. The budget cuts are affecting everyone. The new administration is still getting settled in. There's a lot of demands for those federal dollars to go elsewhere, and we're at the mercy of Congress and the president.
Okay. So if a person needs to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
Two ways. They can call our office at 409-951-7200. We're open Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 4:30 every day. They can go to our website, which is www.bmtha.org. And all the information they need, programs, how to apply, what qualifies, what the income limits, everything is right there on the website.
Wonderful. Hey, listen, I want to thank Robert for coming and sharing with us the information about the Beaumont Housing Authority and all that they're doing in order to help those in our community. Now, again, the number is listed there on the screen for those who need help. But listen, it's not designed to be a catch-all in the sense that you stay on it for a lifetime. It's meant to help you, give you a hand up to get out and on your own. So I want to thank you for coming to share this information with us today on what's happening in our neighborhood. And I want to thank you for joining us. And we will see you next time on our broadcast.